Hi, it is Lisa from Wild Eye Embroidery. I'm going to demonstrate how to finish off your hoop once you have finished all your sewing. There are many ways of actually finishing off your hoop, but I think keep it simple, especially if you're a beginner to embroidery. So there is a very quick and easy way of doing it, and that would be my preferred method. So what you need to do is decide if you want to close your embroidery hoop the quickest way, or do you want to finish it off so that the back isn't showing. So now we'll turn our embroidery hoop brown here. So the most common way is to put a running stitch around the outside of the stitches, and then we'll fold this in. Now when you do that, you will see part of the back of the hoop. You'll see your stitches in the middle. Absolutely fine if you're hanging that on the wall, and it's something I do very, very often. If you're maybe going to gift your hoop to somebody else, or if you're selling it on, or even if you're going to make a Christmas decoration where you think the stitches may be caught over time, you might want to put a little backing in your hoop. Again, many ways of doing this, but I will show you the simplest way of doing that today. But again, this is an optional step. What I like to do is use either felt or even fleece, which I'm using today, or any fabric that's quite firm and has a little bit of body, something that won't flop once you put it in. So what I'm going to do is, I have a little scrap of fleece here, and I will take a spare one of my hoops, and this is the inner hoop, so that's the inside hoop. I'm going to trace around this. Now when you're doing it, you want it to be slightly smaller, so trace around the inside of the ring, not the outside. And I'm just using a water erasable pen to do that. If you don't have a spare hoop, you will obviously need to do that at the very beginning of your project, otherwise you'll have to take your hoop to pieces again. And I'll just cut this shape out now. It doesn't have to be perfect, you won't be seeing the edges, so don't waste too much time on it. If you're using a pale fabric for your actual stitching, make sure you use a pale background fabric because you don't want it showing. So now I've got my circle cut out, we can go ahead and pop that in when we're ready. That means when we close up the back, you won't see any of your stitching whatsoever. It just gives a very tidy appearance if that's what you're going for. So we'll set our piece of fabric to one side for now, and next up we're going to do a running stitch to close this fabric up. All I'm doing here is I'm using 6 strands of my embroidery floss, and I've put 2 knots at the very bottom on the tail to make sure that this doesn't pop through when I'm pulling it. At this stage you need to have your excess fabric cut off into a circle. I like to do this before I even start my stitching, and the easiest way to do this, if you have spare hoops available, is to use a bigger hoop. So this little pink hoop, this is a 3.5 inch, and this bigger one is a 5.5 inch. And what I done before I even started my stitching is I just simply put this on my fabric and drew a circle round. And then, because I have serrated scissors, I use those to cut the edges. This means it'll never fray. Again, optional, you can use normal scissors if you like. But if you haven't already cut your fabric into a circular shape, now is the time to do it. You can even simply, if you have cut your fabric into a square, you can just literally cut round it now. It's no problem at all. But as you can see, I like to do mine first. So now that we've done that, I like to hold my hoop up a little. And what you want to do is make sure that your knot is on the underside of your fabric. Don't come too close to the edge. We want to start in a little so that there's no chance of your fabric pulling and fraying. And remember, we're using all 6 strands of your embroidery floss. Now you can set it down, and we're going to do a simple running stitch. They don't need to be close together, so you can work your needle in and out. And just keep going in and out the whole way around your hoop. Now if you're using a bigger hoop, make sure you have a very long length of floss cut, because the last thing you want to do is to find that you're halfway around and you don't have enough. If you are running out of room, you can start gathering early. You don't have to wait to the very end to gather. Now once you get towards the end, make sure you come close to where you first started, but don't overlap, otherwise it won't properly gather. So it'll just come up about there. Okay, so now you've got all your stitches gathered, it's time to flip your hoop over. And all you need to do in this case is hold on tight, top and bottom of your hoop, use your other thumb and gently start pulling on the floss, and as if by magic everything will pull in to close it neatly. So this is how it will look when you finish, if you're not going to use a piece of fabric to hide the stitches. So I'm going to open that up then, now that you've saw that, just to show you the difference when you use a little bit of backing material. So now we've popped that in, we can gather our stitches again. So same thing again, just hold your hoop top and bottom and gently pull until the stitches start closing. So to stop those pleats coming out, it's just a simple matter of putting a few stitches in at the bottom to hold these together. And what I'll do, I'll take it across to beyond where the knot is, and just make sure you're keeping those gathered when you're sewing that. Then I like to finish off on the inside so your knot isn't exposed, and then what I like to do is go once, twice into that, a little bit like a French knot, hold on to your loop right to the very end and then let go, and that means your knot is on the inside and it can't be seen. Then we can snip that off. And there you go, all finished. That is a very and quick, easy way to gather in your hoop. At the end of the video, it would be brilliant if you click the like button and please subscribe to my channel so that you can see my latest videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.